and earn unlimited rewards. The time by Sagicor Bank is
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, JTA raises alarm. Students exposed to inappropriate behavior in shelters. Flood rains ravage communities in eastern and western parishes. And councillor cracks down on illegal dumping in Huandon. In the business report, impact investment with Cygnus. While in sports, Jamaica finished second in Carifta swimming points table.
At 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard, and the music keeps on playing. Oh, what a feeling, don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down, shine your lights out.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of.
Seize the next IPO opportunity seamlessly with the Sagicor e-Invest.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Wednesday, April 8, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a developing story. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA Mark Malava, is sounding the alarm tonight over disturbing reports that students are being exposed to inappropriate adult behavior in schools currently serving as hurricane shelters. Carla Ramdeen has this report.
JTA President Dr. Mark Malava described the situation as deeply troubling as he shared that some shelterees have allegedly been engaging in sexual activity within clear view of students, a development he says should outrage all stakeholders. He was speaking Tuesday at the opening ceremony of the JTA Education Conference 2026 at the Princess Grand Jamaica Hotel in Green Island, Hanover.
Reports of teachers, resources going missing. Reports of schools being transformed into spaces befitting of tenement yard that no longer represents institutions of learning is something that every individual should be outraged about.
Dr. Mark Malava further argues that students and teachers are being exposed to harsh conditions while classrooms remain occupied by shelterees. He described the situation as not only unacceptable but outrageous, insisting that no modern society or government should tolerate, far less defend such circumstances. He went further, claiming there appears to be a level of defense from the Ministry of Education, with calls being made for compassion.
And while our teachers continue to endure these conditions, they are also watching the slow pace of negotiations. They are watching the lack of urgency and engagement. They are becoming weary. And let me say this clearly. A weary workforce will not remain passive indefinitely. We have sought dialogue. We have exercised patience. But there's a growing sentiment that teachers may soon need to assert their position more forcefully.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education responded Wednesday, insisting it received no official reports of inappropriate behavior at schools being used as shelters, including any incidents involving children. The ministry says checks with Regional Director Dr. Michelle Pinnock and school principals revealed no confirmed cases. In a statement, it notes routine inspections have also uncovered no evidence of such activity, though investigations remain ongoing.
Nevertheless, we've asked the principals to do some extraordinary checks to see if there are any reports or any teacher that has witnessed what has been reported. The ministry has to note that the care and protection of our children is of utmost importance. And so we take this very seriously. We're disappointed that the report did not come to us before being made public, but nevertheless, we're asking Mr. Malava to share with us whatever information he has so that we can investigate quickly. Also, where reports may have been made to other authorities, those should be shared with us.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie has expressed disappointment in the comments made by Dr. Malava. The minister is demanding evidence to support such claims, adding the allegation had not previously been reported to his ministry, which he insists have been in communication with the JTA.
I am saying to him, if he has the evidence to produce it, because I've asked the police to investigate these allegations. And it is unfortunate that the circumstances that these people find themselves in, that the president of the JTA wants to undermine them and want to, to treat them in a manner which is very disrespectful without providing the evidence. And based on the checks that I've done of all our shelter managers across the island, nobody has indicated any such incident has taken place. And I am asking the president of the JTA if he cannot provide the information to apologize publicly for the disrespect and the disregard that he has demonstrated towards those persons in the shelters. It is rather unfortunate that somebody at that level can stoop that low without providing the evidence to substantiate the allegations.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
In this CVM News follow-up on the recent flooding in St. James, residents in the Johns Hall community say they too have received a heavy battering, citing breakaways and flooding from heavy rains on Sunday. Councillor for the Spring Mountain Division, Yuval Graham, told our news team that a section of the Johns Hall main road, which serves as a main entrance and exit point for several other communities, is now completely blocked. Natasha Williams reports.
It's calm now, but just last Sunday, this river was roaring with debris, mud and silt, which was dumped into residents' houses in East Central St. James. With the river came sections of the roadway and tree trunks left from Hurricane Melissa's aftermath to the streets and in homes. The community is once again tense.
We are getting a real battering in the Johns Hall area as it relates to rainfall these last days. I think it's the third time now we have received heavy rain and the entire roadway has been flooded out. So during Melissa, NWA have cleaned the river, but the river filled with silt and plus silt from all the breakaway in Dam Road, Spring Mount, Village and all those areas. So the river again filled with silt again, so it caused an overflow onto the roadway. And that's when it flooded out all these houses.
The continuous flooding is not only disrupting residents' livelihoods, but taking lives.
2 months ago, I John Matthews in his car. Yes.
Because of flooding, same way?
Yeah, because of flooding, same way, after the hurricane.
One elderly resident says some community members are also to be blamed for the constant flooding.
So the people them come in, cut down the trees, the earth get loose, the rain fall, nothing to contain the water, so the earth wash away. And it dig down, and that's so the river come to full up. I feel fearful at times when me see the river overflow its bank. And when it come in at the yard, I'm fearful.
With a section of Johns Hall Main Road cordoned off, while the Spring Mount Road is cut in two since Hurricane Melissa, motorists say the constant flooding is compounding the problem.
Yeah, man, we can't travel 20 miles to reach back and we are before and we are look for our house and can't go our house. And then the people them don't know if you drive on the narrow road. So yo, why a problem in post?
Yeah man, we want some road my boss.
Yeah man, the road fi fix back man so we have easy access.
However, another resident believes in fixing the roads, the authorities must start at the root of the problem.
So you have to stop the bleeding first. By doing what? By cleaning out the drain, clean out the gully course that if another flood come, it won't damage it more. And then you go one step at a time, one day at a time, and rebuild the wall, retaining wall. This bridge will soon fall down. There's a road going here so to the New Testament Church of God, and it goes to the village around here. So the river run alongside it. So when the river goes full up now, they take the road, so you wash out the road complete.
A team from the National Works Agency, along with their Community Relations Officer, Janelle Ricketts, have been in the area since Tuesday, and based on assessment, she says desilting the river and clearing the debris will be their first step. Councillor Graham also suggests widening and deepening the river to help contain the water.
It's a significant damage, but in the meantime, while we are preparing to do further fixes in terms of complete rehabilitation of these sections, we will focus on clearing of the landslides as well as debris along sections of the corridor.
Natasha Williams, CVM News.
Meanwhile, communities in eastern St. Thomas are facing major disruptions after heavy rains left the Hordley Crossing main road underwater. With businesses affected and access limited, Member of Parliament Yvonne Rosemary Shaw is raising concerns about infrastructure and drainage issues in the area. Kevin Black has that story.
Parts of eastern St. Thomas remain cut off after heavy rainfall left the Hordley Crossing main road impassable. Authorities are warning road users to avoid the area and use alternative routes as water continues to pose a risk.
At this time, many businesses have been locked down in the Portman Square. The Fish Cove, the popular Fish Cove, it was inundated with water this morning, flooding right through. And the business owners are crying out. People are crying out, pedestrians, they can't even get a place to walk on the road because of what obtains right now.
The Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Yvonne Rosemary Shaw, says the flooding is linked to long-standing infrastructure challenges along the southern coastal highway. She says these issues become more evident during heavy and prolonged rainfall.
I'm also inviting Minister of Works to take a second look at the Southern Coastal Highway project. There are many defects on the road and it is causing havoc. Last night, we had 4 hours of rain, continuous rainfall, and the entire Portman Square, Hordley Crossing, Lethal, right at the Fish Cove, is totally devastated.
Residents and pedestrians are also struggling to move through the area as water continues to affect access points. Shaw is calling upon the relevant authorities for assistance in rectifying this matter.
Minister Morgan, I am appealing to you to come and see it for yourself. Mr. Stephen Shaw, I am asking that all of you come on and see what is happening on the road, because the situation is untenable. It has been going on for too long. What now obtains is that the water is taken off the road and it is now going into people's property and businesses.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
More news to come right after that.
new KFC Saucy Wings. Hot and spicy wings tossed in our irresistible sauce. Available in sweet red chili and citrus chipotle barbecue. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
It's the last thing on their mind until it becomes the only thing on their mind. Critical illness has many faces. 1 in 4 people will be affected. Protect what matters with critical illness insurance from Sagicor Life.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people never say we are mash up the dance. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights
Thanks so much for staying with us. A section of Waterworks Road in Manor Park, St. Andrew has collapsed, leaving the area partially impassable after a motorist drove over the weekend surface. Carla Ramdeen tells us more.
A section of the road in Waterworks has recently collapsed, making it difficult for vehicles to pass. Now residents say the road should have been properly paved. The contractors are now on site assessing the damage.
This was Waterworks Road in Manor Park, St. Andrew on Wednesday after a section of the road collapsed while a motorist was traversing the area. He detailed his experience.
I was coming up, right, on this road, very simple. Coming up on the Barber Green, it's raining. Another car burst this corner and come around and met me there, and I couldn't go any other way because I had to pull over onto the soft shoulder. Not the soft shoulder, but the road itself, which is under construction, which was covered. Nothing here was showing before. Just when I fell into that hole there, everything started to fall right around.
Following the incident, CVM observed the road being assessed by contractors who were digging and packing the affected section. CVM spoke with the contractor, who explained that work on the road began less than a month ago and they were waiting for it to set before compacting it again, adding that Waterworks does not have a sewage line, so they were channeling one through the area. Delano Seawright is Member of Parliament for the St. Andrew North Central constituency. He says he has had discussions with Water Minister Matthew Samuda, NWC, KSAMC and NEPA.
Based on current indications, it is my view that the government may ultimately have to intervene directly to complete the necessary works and then seek to recover those costs from the private developer. All appropriate legal options are also being carefully examined because this matter has gone on far too long and the residents deserve resolution.
He says there's going to be a review of the approval process for developers connecting sewer lines.
Additionally, the government, in my discussions with Minister Matthew Samuda, will be reviewing how private developments and sewer connections are being approved and executed, as we are seeing too many instances where poor implementation is creating significant challenges for communities. So the broader issue requires urgent attention. We will, of course, continue to update on the progress made on these issues.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
2 illegal graves have been removed from the entrance of the Port Maria Cemetery after they were discovered by Mayor Fitzroy Wilson on Tuesday morning. The discovery prompted the St. Mary Municipal Corporation to launch an investigation into the unauthorized construction. Here again is Carla Ramdeen.
The St. Mary Municipal Corporation has launched an investigation into the illegal construction of 2 graves at the entrance of Port Maria Cemetery. Mayor of Port Maria, Fitzroy Wilson, raised concerns after visiting the site Tuesday morning, noting that the graves appear to have been constructed over the weekend.
We've done our checks at the Municipal Corporation and we were trying to find out who would have given permission for those graves to be constructed. The issue is the Port Mary Cemetery is basically, it's almost filled to capacity. And of such, we do not encourage much burial or facilitate much burial. We mainly use our main cemeteries for the parish is Whitehall Cemetery and the Anata Bay cemeteries. So most of our revenue would come from those cemeteries.
Preliminary findings suggest that the cemetery keeper may have instructed that the graves be built in a restricted area. The graves have since been demolished.
It is now for us to investigate as to whether or not permission was granted for those graves or those graves were illegally constructed in the driveway to the cemetery. Because that is basically the entrance to the cemetery. And when we went there this morning, that is when I certainly was aware of it, because that is where we normally enter to go into the cemetery. And even so, the gate couldn't open properly because the graves were constructed almost at the fence side. So I'll definitely be getting to the root of this, because this is not going to be tolerated. And those graves will be demolished.
Meanwhile, Minister of Local Government Desmond McKenzie is requesting a detailed report from the St. Mary Municipal Corporation. He emphasized that no one outside the municipality is authorized to dig or construct graves.
And it is unfortunate, and I'm hoping that the municipality does something about it. And whatever disciplinary action is to be taken, if anyone at the MC is responsible, then we are expecting that the strongest possible disciplinary action be taken against the individual or individuals. But I'm awaiting a report from the mayor, and then we will see where we go from there.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
6 inmates from the Richmond Correctional Center have been placed on a Labor of Love project in St. Mary to assist in debushing the Port Maria Cemetery. Accompanied by lawmen and correctional officers, the cleaning, which began on Tuesday, is set to continue over a 2-month period, with various inmates and other agencies partaking in the activities. Natasha Williams has more.
Not visible now, but laying under these crowded bushes are graves and possible burial spots that will soon be a beauty after the completion of the debushing exercise being undertaken by inmates from the Richmond Correctional Center. A commendable approach undertaken by the St. Mary Municipal Corporation in conjunction with the Department of Correctional Services. Superintendent Duncan says in expressing respect to the deceased and their families, the project will be carried out with love and patience.
We have 6 inmates on site. We have a number of about 6 officers also on site. And it can grow. Each day we'll try to see how much we can carry out. It should last at least 2 to 3 months. Because it's as you can see, it's all really bushed and it needs some work. So we have to take our time and go through it and make sure that we protect the graves also.
Superintendent Duncan says after conducting their checks and balances, inmates are chosen carefully.
Most of the inmates at the institution I'm on, at least 50% of them will be out this year. So we have to get them back integrated into society, into the work attitude of working again. So this is a good venture and we are happy to be a part of it.
As the inmates sharpen their tools to begin, they are also guarded under the keen eyes of wardens. Mayor of Puerto Maria, Councillor Fitzroy Wilson, says not only is the initiative a good way to rehabilitate the prisoners, but also a cost-effective means of maintaining cemeteries.
A penny saved is a penny earned, of course. And whilst it is that Ms. Douglas and the team would have to be stressing to find some funds to do this, then maybe we could look at putting in a center convenience in other cemeteries with that funding or using it for other use. So it's not that we had funds allocated to do this and then we would have those funds to channel somewhere else.
Mr. Wilson says he's hoping to partner with other agencies in the future to continue with the program in keeping cemeteries and other areas in the parish clean. Natasha Williams, CVM News.
Community safety in Hughenden is under threat as illegal dumping continues. Councillor for the division, Andrew Harris, says he's taking strong actions to clean up the space. Akeem Arit tells us more.
Dumping has been plaguing the Uenden community for years. Piles of waste along roadsides not only pollute the environment, but have also become safety hazards. Councillor for the Uenden division, Andrew Harris, says a specific spot in the community has since become a target.
We have a particular area on the top of Uenden Avenue that as we clean it, if the MP cleans it today, by next week it's dumped again. If I clean it today, by next week it's dumped up again. People just have. So we're trying to take some measures. I've met with the residents twice and we're coming up with an idea, which is to block that area from vehicular traffic from one end so that we can sort of curtail the type of traffic and people can actually have eyes to see who is doing this dumping.
But the problem has taken a grim turn. According to the councillor, criminal elements have allegedly used the illegal dump site to dispose of dead bodies in recent years.
Some of the articles that you see there, it is just civic pride. You see toilets, you see building material, and in former days, we would have seen bodies dumped there. So, as I said, bodies, we would see dead bodies in former years. Probably 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we would be seeing bodies there. We had to ask the police for increased protection on that stretch, and we have started to curtail it. And the residents themselves have started taking a more proactive approach to watching the area.
To combat this, Mr. Harris says he is in dialogue with residents about blocking a section of the road to vehicular traffic. He stresses that closure is just one option and community input is crucial. He urges community members to report any illegal dumping or suspicious activity to the authorities.
It's something that I'm encouraging our residents to report to the NSWMA whenever they see anybody acting in that manner, which is the illegal dumping. Record it if you can, get the truck number, the car number, whatever number.
Akeem Oret, CVM News.
Meanwhile, rising tensions in the Middle East are beginning to hit closer to home, with Jamaica's agricultural sector now feeling the effects as disruptions to the global supply chain are driving up the cost of key farming inputs. Kevin Black tells us more.
Growing tensions in the Middle East are now having direct consequences for Jamaica, with the conflict threatening global fertilizer supplies and driving up costs. As key shipping routes face disruption, local agriculture could feel the impact through higher input prices and pressure on food production.
Clearly, inputs to the agricultural ecosystem are critical in ensuring that our farmers can do what they love, which is farm, and ensuring that we can maintain adequate supplies of food and maintain access to pricing.
Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says that the issue is deeply concerning, noting that farmers depend heavily on fertilizer inputs to maintain food supplies and stable pricing, especially following recent weather-related losses.
The area being impacted by the war is a significant producer of urea, which is used in almost all of our fertilizers. We have Newport First Hand, and what they do is they blend fertilizers, so they have to import things like urea, have to import things like nitrogen, and in their letter to me, they have indicated that the pressure on urea prices, on nitrogen prices, has forced them to move to increase fertilizer prices.
The minister says while international prices have risen sharply, local increases have so far been partially buffered, with fertilizer costs rising by an estimated 10 to 13%.
Part of what we have been doing is working with the farmers so their utilization of fertilizer is in keeping with their needs. So we're trying to do more precision-based agriculture, which ultimately reduces the amount of fertilizer that is utilized.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues after the break.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Available in sweet red chili and citrus chipotle barbecue. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is
7:30. It's the last thing on their mind until it becomes the only thing on their mind. Critical illness has many faces. 1 in 4 people will be affected. Protect what matters with critical illness insurance from Sagicor Life.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Hot and spicy wings tossed in our irresistible sauce. Available in sweet red chili and citrus chipotle barbecue. KFC, it's finger lick.
With us, it's now time for the business report with Joel Crosskill.
An unconventional approach for the business report today on the trajectory of the alternative investment space in Jamaica and the potential it holds for the longer-term deployment of capital for impact investments as we continue our conversation with Cygnus co-founder, CEO and president Beresford Gray, whose focus remains trained on funding opportunities that solve real-world problems.
We are getting great traction in terms of brand, and that's evidenced by the fact that our investors not only include investors in Jamaica, but we have investors from all over the region. And I'm talking about institutional investors, which is a testament. We have pension funds, very large fund managers across the region investing with us, and we have international investors, most of the large multilaterals. Cygnus has also, as a group, is registered with the SEC. I think that we are probably the only firm in Jamaica that is registered with the SEC. And what that does is truly position Cygnus as the go-to firm for international investors who want to work with a partner that has the highest level of governance and operational robustness in the alternative investment space.
The Caribbean Community Resilience Fund, CCRF, a US $135 million investing vehicle created through a partnership between the CARICOM Development Fund, CDF, and Cygnus, has been an important contributor to that recognition.
Right now we have over 100 million in committed capital for CCRF, and we are not fully closed as yet. We still have closing. We still have up until October this year to close out. So we're still talking and going through due diligence with a number of investors in the region and internationally. We already made 2 investments out of the fund. We have obviously invested in Sunterra on the equity side, and we have invested in another very strong company in Jamaica in the technology space here.
Though Jamaica's energy goal is to increase renewable generation and reduce annual dependence on imported fuels, I asked the Cygnus co-founder what would happen if those fuel supplies became domestic in origin and how those hypothetical revenues may be best managed. His response may be surprising.
Let's say oil is discovered.
Yes.
In Jamaican waters. What do we do with those funds? Do we set up a sovereign wealth fund? Is that the best approach to deal with those revenues?
That's a question for the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. But first thing, I really hope that Jamaica discover oil, right? Even though when we discover oil, we should also still continue to invest in renewables, etc. But I think outside of us discovering oil, I would strongly suggest that we set up a sovereign wealth fund. I don't think oil is a necessity. There are a lot of other sectors that Jamaica has that we can 10x, that we have a strong competitive advantage in. Just think about it. We won't have a competitive advantage in oil. It will just be another player in the global market. However, Jamaica has a competitive advantage in hospitality. That's why even when we were a single B high crime level country, with all the bad news and all of that advisory, we still see hundreds of millions of dollars flowing in.
A sovereign wealth fund, SWF, is a state-owned investment fund that invests in real and financial assets. These long-term vehicles manage over $1 trillion globally and could, in theory, be strategically focused on domestic economic development.
When I talk about rethinking the way we think about scaling our economy, those are the things I'm talking about. How do we rethink our tourism product such that over 5-10 years, instead of, I don't know how much we make from that, assume we make $1 billion, $2 billion, we make $10 billion. What do you need to do? What do you need to bring in casino? Do you need to bring in entertainment? Do you need to bring in sport? Just rethink the thing. We need to rethink how we scale, and I'm talking about 10x industries that we already have competitive advantage in, and that's why I'm saying that finding oil is not a prerequisite for a sovereign wealth fund. We should already start doing that now.
Though lower energy costs can make an array of other enterprises increasingly attractive as well, there are an essential few that require deliberate investment regardless.
Most businesses that are solving a real societal problem over the long term will generate what we call in the investment world great alpha. We want to invest in smart agriculture and make money. Why? We want food security. We want to invest in distribution capability. Why? We are islands, we import a lot, and we need efficiency in getting goods and services in and around. So those are what impact is about. It's like investing deliberately with a very purposeful and sector-driven strategy.
With Jamaica's macroeconomic indicators generally trending in the right direction, the fiscal space to strategize Jamaica's future has rarely been so poised. And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
Now for regional and international news with Marshall Hazley.
We begin with regional news. St. Lucia is pushing back against the UK Reform Party's controversial proposal to block visas for nations seeking reparations for the transatlantic slave trade, calling it an affront to justice and a dismissal of centuries of exploitation. We hear more from DBS TV.
The St. Lucia National Reparations Committee has strongly condemned recent statements by the UK Reform Party, suggesting that governments seeking formal reparations from Britain could face a visa